beautiful stars, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my little slice of pie here on the internet. My name is Molly and welcome to Vlogmas Day 11. It is Christmas Eve when I'm filming this, and it's going to be Christmas Eve when you watch this, most likely, or on the holiday weekend. And if you celebrate Christmas, I hope that you have a good one, and if you don't, happy holidays or warm wishes to a great season. And today I have a book review. It's my first one ever, so be nice. I really didn't know how to review it, I guess. Besides saying good things about it, so I tried to pick some things out that I didn't necessarily like to make it a well-rounded review. But I will be reviewing The 12 Dates of Christmas by Jenny Bayliss. One Woman, 12 Mr. Rights, What Could Go Wrong? And I started this at the end of November and finished it within a week or so. It's kind of a quick read, but I just took my time with it. There are 12 chapters and 345 pages, so not too bad. I'm sure if you are someone that likes to read a book within a day, definitely doable. It's not super crazy long. If you like book videos or book talk, booktube, anything like that, my channel is kind of revolving around books and stuff because I've been reading more now this year and I'd really like to read. It brings me a lot of joy, so I do try to do book videos occasionally. I go to little free libraries and stuff. I actually luckily thrifted this book and I love the cover. People call it the Americanized cover, but yeah, it's set in England and I love the UK a lot, so it kind of already got me going. But to start off, 12 Days of Christmas. 4 stars out of 5 for me, and the synopsis is, "'Tis the season for finding romance in this hilarious and uplifting holiday read. When it comes to relationships, 34-year-old Kate Turner is ready to say bah humbug. The sleepy town of Blexford, England isn't exactly brimming with prospects. And anyway, Kate's found fulfillment in her career as a designer and in her delicious side job baking for her old friend Matt's neighborhood cafe. But then her best friend signs her up for a dating agency that promises to help singles find love before the holidays. 23 days until Christmas. 12 dates with 12 different men. The odds must finally be in her favor, right? Yet with each new date more disastrous than the one before, and the whole town keeping tabs on her misadventures, Kate must remind herself that sometimes love, like mistletoe, shows up where it's least expected. And maybe, just maybe, it's been right within her reach all along." 345 pages, 12 chapters, like I said. Pretty quick read if you want it to be. Start off with what I liked. So I have bullet points on my phone, so if I'm looking down, that's why. But starting off, it's kind of a slow burn undertone throughout the entire plot line between Matt and Kate. And Matt is her best friend from childhood. And there's a lot of history and chemistry between the two, and you can sense that and kind of see that while reading it right off the bat. It's similar to a Hallmark movie. That's the best thing I can compare it to. You can guess how it's going to end basically within the first chapter, which I was kind of oh, bummer, you know, because sometimes I feel books, when you're going into it, you have no idea, which I had no idea about this book at all. Some books are really good at hiding what's going to happen. It's not something you can guess easily. But with this book, I was oh, she's definitely gonna end up with Matt. It was just okay, great. Next up, it takes some twists in chapters that I wasn't expecting, so that was a good change. So with some dates, it ended up being really disastrous, like it said in the synopsis. And then other dates were kind of we just don't really get along, so whatever. And I, as a single woman, 23 years old, and I'm out in the dating realm, I kind of found some comfort in this character because I feel we're not the same person, but there's a lot of similar qualities that her and I have. I was oh my gosh, I think I would have done the same thing she did, or I feel bad for her because I've dealt with a similar situation. So I found some connections with the character, and I love when books are able to give that to you. I know not everyone can connect with every character or every book that they read, but this is just something that I liked about this book. And what I didn't like is some of the chapters dragged on a little too long for my taste. It's not I'm looking to read super short chapters, but when they are short, it's kind of fun because you're okay, what's next? What's next? You know, it kind of keeps me on my toes. It wants me to keep reading more. Whereas when it's super dragged out, I'm just okay, was this really necessary? It could have just been its own chapter, I guess, instead of dragging it along in this one chapter. But I can understand why the author may have wanted to have just 12 chapters because of the 12 dates. That was just one little thing. There were just little tidbits. I'm was that completely necessary to have in this chapter or in the book at all? I feel it didn't really need to be in here. It doesn't really do anything to the storyline. And then what I also didn't like is that Kate just loved to assume a lot of things, and she wouldn't ask questions, she would just jump to conclusions, and I can do that myself a lot too. Reading someone else do it, I was like, that is annoying. That's just one thing that I was like, I know not all characters, they're not meant to be perfect. They're meant to be like us. They're meant to be people that are obviously fictional, but like they're based off of somebody that this author may have known in real life. Obviously, we all have our faults. We all do things that maybe are annoying to other people. It's like, never mind, maybe it's a likable thing at the same time. It was funny because when she would get caught in like an assumption, she was like, oh, well, I had just assumed, and he's like, you shouldn't assume stuff because it's not what you think. Be like a little bit of a comedic turn. And then overall, I just think that it is a really sweet read. If you do like Hallmark movies or anything of that genre, you'll probably love this book. Find it enjoyable to read. It's a fun holiday read, and it's my first seasonal book that I've ever read. I'll most likely keep it and read it again next year and probably get my friends to read it too. I had a few people ask me how it was on like my Snapchat story and stuff when I shared I was reading it. Also, like, little fun thing is, because Kate is a baker on the side for her friend Matt, there's like a discussion guide in the back, so if you want to do this as like a book club thing, there's some questions you can answer or ask at the end of the book, and then there's recipes. So I think that's really cool, and I can tell that the person that owned it before me definitely baked some of the stuff in the back of the book, and I think it's a fun one for sure. I definitely want to read more books like this by other authors, so if you've read anything else that's kind of holiday themed that's similar to this, I would love to read it because I did overall find this book really fun to read. I recommend it. Give it a shot. I know it's not everybody's favorite. Let me know if you've read this book, if you thought the same thing, or what you liked about it, what you didn't like. I always love to hear people's opinions and stuff like that. Hope that you enjoyed my first book review. I know it was kind of short and sweet, but I will probably do more in the future if you want them, and I will see you in my next vlogmas, which is tomorrow. Until then, shine bright and warm. Happy holidays. Bye!